Hello Factorio people. Welcome back to the broadcast from Krastorio. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying cool. Episode 23, I want to say. Episode 23. We are tantalizingly close to the finish line here. What I am calling the finish line. 5,400 science cards per minute. I have to say that every time, in case this is the first episode you clicked on, you don't know what's going on. Gotta keep that engagement. Speaking of engagement, if you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe, that would be great. So let's jump straight into it, shall we? Welcome back to the base. It's going okay. We're still just working our way through the big checklist of stuff to do. This says to do, and that's a funny story, and I'll tell you about that later. But where we left off last time, I was worried about the pollution. I was worried about a long-term plan for the pollution. And I didn't want to just go straight to turning the pollution off. I think I might eventually turn the pollution off when UPS starts becoming an issue, if UPS starts to become an issue. But I thought that just giving up on it would be unfair. On you, more than anything. So I thought I would do something a bit silly, a bit crazy. And I would build a wall of pollution filters around. So currently there's a Spidertron here, full of yellow belts, pylons, pollution filters, inserters, landfill. And they're going to go around the whole base. Yes, you will notice that I have not put a medium power pole in such a position as to actually power these inserters. I am a doofus, but that's okay. This doesn't take the Spidertron too long to go around the entire thing, twice, 3 times. As I keep needing to change things and tweak things. Do proper testing, folks, what can I say? It's a lovely breeze, and it's nice, I just hope that it's not coming right into the microphone. OBS seems to say it's okay. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm just going to try and contain the pollution within a large square around the base, seeing as we already have a nice square of visibility around the base anyway. I thought... And now we've got a bit more of an idea of exactly how much space we will need to use. Which is why I was apprehensive about building a wall beforehand, because I didn't want to build a wall without knowing roughly how much space all of these things are going to take. Now I've got a good idea about roughly how much space things are going to take. We can maybe try and do something about it, and then claim some of this space back and see what happens. So the Spidertrons will carry on ploughing along with that. And if we look at our to-do list, we're on rocket control units. So let's have a look at rocket control units, shall we? As the late great Carl Sagan said, to bake an apple pie first, you must invent the universe. And before you make rocket control units, you probably should have some speed modules on hand. In much the same way that we did productivity modules before for the purple science. Probably best to make speed modules somewhere else and bring them in. Thankfully, the ingredients are exactly the same. You just change the output slightly. The only thing differently I've done for this from the productivity modules in the previous version is, in the previous episode I should say, is I'm just going to bring the electronic circuits in. I only need 2 belts. If I had made them on site, I'd have to think about what I wanted to do with the wood, and I just thought that we've got our electronic circuit build down here that we spent a lot of time making sure was pretty good. And every time we do a build and we think, oh, I'll make the electronic circuits here. Alright. So then all you need to do to take rocket control units, forgive the rocket launch happening in the background, to make rocket control units is ship in the processing units, which we also did last time, and some speed modules. And you make 3,440 rocket control units a minute, and that is all you need. So quite easy. Quite easy. I did some work on the rocket silo a long time ago, actually, and I just never bothered to talk about it. You remember a while ago the system with the train was to bring in exactly the right amount of stuff to make satellites, you know, so there's never any leftover. If you have this full of radars, if you have a train full of radars coming in, you use the radars a lot less frequently, or in lower volumes, so you have to bring them in at ratio, basically, and this worked like a charm. So I did a bit of just aesthetic work, really. Especially now that we've got Factorio installed. Factorio adds a whole bunch of extra colour lights and extra colour signals for those lights as well. So all this does is this just has a simple circuit condition. If there's more than 1,000 cards in here, then we're not allowed to launch a rocket. So these are on orange, the universal colour for whoa lad. And then as soon as this goes out under 1,000 cards, they go green, which means we're allowed to launch a rocket. So that's neat, I thought. Just a nice simple little thing there. And I wanted to show this off because the rocket silos, this rocket silo build is not long for this world. It's not long for this world. Alright. So how are the Spidertrons getting along? They've done most of it. Still got the south wall to do. Still have yet to notice that. The issue is that I thought, well, they don't have power because I've not put this on the circuit. I've not put this to the actual electricity network yet, so it's fine. As soon as I hook it up, then all the blinky will go away. And then obviously these aren't powered, so okay. I did demolish all of the pollution filters, most of the pollution filters in the base. No, I haven't done that yet. No, I haven't done that yet. I do that. It's very satisfying. Let me do it now for you, actually. Just get a simple deconstruction planner here for air purifiers. How many are in the base? This causes quite a bit of lag, obviously, as it tries to check every single entity in the base. 1,000! 1,000 of them. Probably should have done that before I sent the Spidertrons out and about building them, because now I'm probably going to have loads in the... yeah. Alright, well let's skip forward in time to when I actually have finished the wall. There it is. I don't know why I keep calling it a wall. It's not a wall. It's just a ring. I brought some pollution filters in. I'll set up a train to bring in pollution filters at some point. I'll just run them like across here. This seems like a pretty good place for it, just to drop them off here. Put them on a very slow belt. Set all of these, when I did the copy and pasting, I think I've still got the blueprints on me. Maybe they're in the book, can't remember. Make sure these have got a stack size of 1, or otherwise they pick up. It's odd, they know that to not fill this with any more than 2, but if the stack size of this is on max, and this is empty, it will, obviously, the inserter will pick up as many as it can pick up, and then insert them. And obviously with the speed of this belt, you don't want 12 filters going into every single one of these, because you'll have to supply the whole thing with 1,000,000 filters before you even get up to here. And then at the top is where the reprocessing happens. This should more than cope with the amount of pollution filters that have gone down. I brought some water in. I haven't demolished this, just to remind me that if I ever want to reseed this with water, I need to bring barrels in, even though there's a lake just here, but you know. And the byproducts of the stone and the iron, I'm just going to crush them. It's too far away from the base to do anything. The old design had me turning it into refined concrete. You turn the stone into bricks, you turn the iron into... You turn the iron ore into iron, and then you turn the iron and the bricks and some water into refined concrete. Or first you turn it into concrete, and then you turn iron beams and concrete into it. And I was like, yeah, but just gonna crush it. You crush the iron ore into nothing, you crush the stone into sand. This inserter then outputs the sand back into this chest, and then the sand crushes into nothing. So Just a simple system like this will crush anything into nothing, even though there's only a few things that crush into something else anyway. And all the pollution filters have gone. The pollution on the south is quite bad. I end up having to double these up. So again, I have to send the Spidertron around again just to do this. Oh, the radar's cut out. That was good. Just to do this. But with some blueprinting and some snapping to grid and stuff, and holding the shift key, and make blueprint water placeable mod, it's quite easy to just go across and then get your Spidertron to just go to here and then to here, and then you just do something else. It really wasn't that laborious at all. It would have been smoother if I'd have done it right the first time, of course it would have been, but what am I like, eh? What am I like? The mall is doing okay. I make some basic stuff with matter now, rather than... I should have some lights here, really. So as I say, rather than making silicon and glass somewhere to bring them in for the few number of things that need it, just turn matter into silicon and matter into glass. And same with the powder, we don't actually make powder anywhere. We don't put powder in a train anywhere, we don't put iron ore in a train anywhere. Coal doesn't happen anywhere, stone doesn't happen anywhere, you know. So the mall is working well. Okay. So now that rocket control units are done, I go through my list and I see that rare metals need to be done. So I look at Factorio calculator, more than half of the rare metals need to go into imersite plates. Now you remember why I made this list? I made this list because I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget that I'd done anything that I'd already done, having designed imersite crystals twice, and I thought, oh, I know, I'll make a list. It's really important when you do that to then make sure that your list is correct. Because for some reason I marked imersite plates as needing to be done. We make imersite plates. We make imersite plates over here. Granted, we don't make very many of them. So I spent some time designing an imersite plate build. And I did it differently this time. When I saw how slowly imersite plates are made, when I started from scratch, having done this hours and hours and hours ago, when I started from scratch, I approached it slightly differently. And I make the rare metals from matter. I enrich the rare metals on site. But this time, having had the problems we had last time with the lubricant sulfuric acid issue, which was we were only getting lubricant when we needed sulfuric acid, because the lubricant machine was here and it was only making lubricant when these facilities were running, and these facilities were only running when we needed sulfuric acid. If you remember that whole rigmarole, I thought, well, I don't want that to happen again. So I won't ship in chlorine, I'll make chlorine on site. And I ended up coming up with this, which makes all of the imersite plates you would need. So rather than this being one of 3, and needing to ship in the chlorine, this blueprint makes the plates from matter. So my initial reaction was, having done all of that and trying to find a place to put it in the base and scrolling around and going, oh. I saved the game and I walked off in a huff. And then I thought, well, actually, this has worked out quite well, hasn't it? Because I have actually now removed the need for chlorine from this process. Because the only place we get chlorine at the moment is as a byproduct of lithium. And yes, admittedly at the moment this train is full and these tanks are full. But if we ever had a need for chlorine, we would be reliant on lithium production running. And also, I'm not even sure I've run the numbers on whether this is enough chlorine to provide 3 immersion plate stations. So Am I an idiot? Yes, of course I am. No two ways about it. Is a stop clock right twice a day? Yes. The fact of the matter remains, though, you still have excess chlorine from your lithium production line. You could just burn it off, sure. But there is a rocket fuel recipe that requires hydrogen chloride. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a backup rocket fuel plant that only runs when there is excess chlorine in the base. So this is exactly the same build as the rocket fuel build that was running off of ammonia, except you don't need the nitrogen condensers down here. You still do water separation, you still need the extra oxygen, but rather than taking nitrogen from the atmospheric condensers, you bring in chlorine and you turn that into hydrogen chloride instead of ammonia. Other than that, the ratios are exactly the same, the speed is exactly the same. So whenever we have excess chlorine, we will make some rocket fuel here. And then all I will do is, when the time comes, I will build my rocket silos here, and rather than just putting this rocket fuel onto a train, I will just ship this rocket fuel directly into the build, and I will prioritize this rocket fuel. This also means, yeah, look, requesting station is empty. Oh, it's because I've turned this off, that's why. Yeah, this is going to go. The other one is, the real proper one is in. So this is one of one immersite plates from just matter. You don't need matter stabilizers for this, which is quite good, but you do need to turn quite a lot of matter cubes into matter to make the powder, the rare metals. The stone gets crushed and then electrolyzed, turn into hydrogen and chlorine. This chlorine I'm not going to repurpose because it's not that much. No, it's hydrogen, sorry, it's hydrogen that's... Yeah, I was about to realise I'd rubber duck myself into going, oh, there's even more flipping chlorine here. Now, no, it's hydrogen that's excess. There's excess hydrogen here. Not a lot of it, and it's only hydrogen. And there's really, you know... Yes, I suppose by that logic, I could bring this excess hydrogen into this excess chlorine and make the hydrogen chloride here, but then I'd still need the oxygen for the rocket fuel. Blah, blah, blah. Burn off the hydrogen. It's just hydrogen. It's just one single proton. Is that even science? I don't know. Electrolyze the water into hydrogen chlorine. Make that into hydrogen chloride. Burn off the excess hydrogen. Refine your rare metals into enriched rare metals. Clean the water in the same way that we do always. The benefit of this is that now we actually need the stone as well. So rather than turning this stone into matter, which we've done in other enriching processes in this inline build system, we can repurpose the stone as well. So we just bring the stone up to this crusher, tell this matter plant to not, tell these inserters to not take the stone from this matter plant while there's stone here to be used. Smelt the rare metals, take the rare metals and the immersite powder from way, way, way up the top there into 4 immersite plants, which outputs 2/3 of a purple belt. And there you go, that's all the immersite plates you will need. That also means that you don't need that much rare metals either. So the rare metal smelting needs to go anyway now, because as I say, we don't, chlorine is only going to be used for this process. Because you can get rare metals from matter, it's fine. Don't need to mine rare metals from the earth. Okay, so that was a real headache, but this puts us in a good spot, I think. We won't have this problem again down here with the we need chlorine, oh we can't get chlorine because nothing in the base needs lithium. Like that is not the way to have your base designed, in my opinion. having one product reliant on another product, and having to either destroy one of the products to get the other product, or nightmare. Speaking of which, the coal liquefaction to lubricant plan from last time works really well. This has been running for a decent number of hours now. Solid fuel is... This chest is full. Why is this chest full? This chest is full because... Can't remember. It's probably just because I'd had so much solid fuel left over from testing. There is a circuit condition here to do something. Oh yeah, don't put the... Anyway, it's fine. I'll go and look at that in a minute. But yeah, so the excess sulfur goes into this train, which goes to the sulfur plant, and is prioritized over the in-house method of making sulfur to make sure that it always gets used. Okay, so we've untied that horrendous knot. Is the wall... The wall is not doubled up yet, but it is working. And I realised down here, this is where I realised quite soon that these these chunks are not ever going to get cleared. There's just simply too much pollution coming in. Alright, let's move on. So it seemed only sensible now to actually tackle the big question of making enough optimization data to make 5,400 space data a minute. The problem you've got with a rocket launch is that the animation is set in stone. You can't, it doesn't matter how many modules or beacons you put around a rocket silo, you're still beholden to 40 seconds of animation time, the doors opening, the rocket launching, the doors closing, before anything else can happen. So I spent a lot of time in a sandbox editor mode that I had, filling rockets with, launching rockets as fast as I could to see how many science per minute you can actually get and how much you need. Of course, in Krastorio, you don't get the data, you don't get the tech cards out straight away. You get space research data, which you can turn into optimization tech cards. So you can get the productivity bonus from that in the lab. So you need considerably less than you think you would need. You need about this much. You need 4 silos, each at a crafting speed of 10.9, almost 11 times faster. 1000% crafting, plus 1000% crafting speed, basically. And this will get you... Rate calculator does seem to work, does seem to take into account these things. So you need to launch about 4 rockets a minute. About. So here's that. Satellites... Seeing as we've already got this thing designed, but making the satellites here would also be a pain, because we'd have to bring in rocket fuel and low density structures into this. I suppose I could have brought them in next door, I suppose. I might look at that later. Gonna bring in satellites like this. Satellites are quite expensive. You don't want satellites everywhere, and I thought maybe I should just have one assembler on each machine, and then I thought, that's... Then you have to somehow feed this machine with the feed the machines with 6 products on belts, and I thought that'd be a bit messy. So I've done this. I've never done this before, but I managed to work it out. If you set your inserter to pulse with read hand contents, and you stack that up, you hook that up to an arithmetic combinator, and then you just feed the signal back to itself. So every time this takes a satellite, it pulses 1 into here, and this goes 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then when it sends another one, it gets the 1 that it's already circling around, and the extra 1 that it's got from the inserter, so it goes 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. It's counting it, basically. It's not hugely intuitive that it is, but it is counting it. Because you also have to then have the input just times itself by 1. There's not like a super obvious way to have just this go add 1 whenever you get the satellite signal. You have to sort of hook a combinator back to itself, and it's clunky, but it works. And you do exactly the same with the inserters that are taking the satellites off the belt. But on this one, you times it by -1 before you hook it around. So every time this picks up an inserter, it's sending a -1 signal to the satellites. Which means that this output here counts how many satellites are on the belt. Now I know you can do that anyway, but you would have to do that like this. And then you would have to say read belt contents, hold, do this. Makes the belts look horrible and ugly. I don't like it. I wanted to use this, just for my own benefit, more than anything. And so then when the satellite... I've said 10, I end up changing this to 6. Or to 4, just so that there's 4 satellites spare on the belt. Obviously I've made these inserters limit hand size of 1, I've got a chest here with only 1 satellite in, I've got this inserter ready to take the satellite. So this just primes 1 satellite ready to go in each silo. This makes satellites up until the point where there's enough satellites on the belt for the next couple of rocket launches, so you don't end up overproducing satellites. If you had this belt full of satellites, it would work exactly the same as it works now, but you would have to make 50, 100 odd satellites before this would stop working, and then you would, you know, like, I've over-engineered it, basically. And then the rocket fuel from above comes down, is prioritised over everything else. Going to bring in the low density structures, the rocket control units, extra rocket fuel just in case. We need processing units, we need blank tech cards, because we're going to make the actual data here as well. And something else I've forgotten. Oh, the actual, yeah, the solar panels, the accumulators, and the radars. So let's hook all that up. Hello, you join me live from the new rocket launch facility on Nalvis, funded by our benevolent benefactor, me. It works. The cards come out. Thankfully, I'm stuck. Thankfully, you don't need to worry too much about the output of the belts, because you don't need a full belt of cards. You only need 40% less than a full belt of cards, but I've still got those going into a box, and having these limits having the satellite inserter limits, should there be enough data in here already, because of course we're going to have this up and running well before any of the other sciences are making 5,400 cards. And then some nice little neat belt weaving, because I designed this, forgot to check that this will actually use more than half a belt of tech cards. I don't know why I thought the ratio of tech cards to blank tech cards to optimization tech cards was 1:1. It's not. It's 2:1. So let's get this show on the road, shall we? Huzzah! Godspeed. You can probably just about make that out on the right hand side. Input signals 8 satellites, 9 satellites, 10 satellites, and now this is not going to insert any more satellites. It's going to stop. These will eventually... Nah, they won't sync up. They're never going to be synced up. I'm sorry. I probably could have made them sync up, but who cares? Currently our science trains are only 1-1 trains, so they're just being loaded into a train at the moment. So, unfortunately the old rocket silo build has gone. I didn't check how many rockets were launched before I demolished it. I probably should have done that. Space research data. all. 3.7 million. So what's that? 3,700 rockets minus the 4 that we just launched. Quite a lot of rockets. But now we're launching rockets 4 times as fast. Well, we're going to launch rockets 4 times as fast for a moment, and then the science will back up, and then it will be sorted. And a rocket control unit train comes in, and I realise that my rocket control units are only 1-1 trains, and we need to tidy up the chlorine. And have I realised that this? Yep, I have realised this with the pollution down here, but I'm still yet to. I just about am thinking about doing this now. So we need to do a large housekeeping phase now. Now that we've done the bulk of the awful grunt work for today. Yikes. We need to do a bit of a housekeeping phase. Get rid of this, etc, etc. And the pollution cloud looks like this. This is definitely working now. This is definitely dissipate. I set up some more matter production in a housekeeping phase as well. This ended up working quite well for getting oil into, or getting fluids generally into matter plants at a decent rate. You may remember before I said that it was better to split patches up into quarters and then put them on separate pipe networks, but turns out if you put them all on one pipe network and just make sure that you've got enough pumps, it kind of balances itself out. So this absolutely eats through oil. This just goes to this. It's all matter in the end. Just that's the benefit of this system, is you can just put all the matter in one lot. The same with the mineral water next door. That's okay. You know when you just do something and you know it's not going to be very good, but you just want to do it anyway because you just want to see it? Don't do this. Just don't do this. I mean, it's working. It's full. I need to add another train to this system. The reason you don't do this, and you don't, like, using a 16 to 16 balancer here, and using belt balancers in general, you need to be very careful with this. I see a lot of beginners. I see a lot of intermediate players do this as well. They just slap a belt balancer down and go problem solved. It doesn't really solve. It doesn't necessarily solve the problem that you want to solve. All a belt balancer does is it distributes. It's better to think of a belt balancer distributing the gaps in your supply than it is about distributing the items. Because if I drag the rate calculator over this, it's going to tell me, you know, an ungodly number of belts, because we're on mining productivity 47, 31 belts. But there's still going to be as many gaps as there are on the most sparsely populated belt. Because it doesn't matter that this can output 2 purple belts on its own. It's going to output a full purple belt, it's going to get to here, and it's only going to be able to output 1 full purple belt on the other side. Like, let me just delete this to show you. Put it back. Put it back. Why don't they just turn around and put it back, man? It's just going to take forever now, isn't it? You know what? Seeing as like this is just a demonstration of something that makes no difference. Editor mode. Oh god, buttons. So if I press my debug mode and turn on belt transport gaps here, these are all full belts. Mostly. But this has loads of gaps in it. And all this belt balancer is doing is it's just distributing the gaps evenly over 16. A few gaps end up coming here. You know, this build would be a lot better, it'd be a lot more sensible, it would be a lot more future-proofed if this belt balancer wasn't here and these line up anyway. That's why this is designed like this. These are spaced exactly to how far apart I do my mining. And I do my mining like this. I've not said this in a long time, I'll say it again. I'll do my mining like this because these miners have such a high area that you don't need to worry about having the super compact version. Because if you do the super compact version, you spend so much in undergrounds, and undergrounds are very expensive in Krastorio. But anyway, there's some matter, and a lesson in why belt balances are a bit weird. I'll make that into a short, shall I? Probably too long to be a short. I have this problem where all of my content is so long because I'm such a rambling idiot of a man that I can't do shorts because I can't say anything concisely enough. Tidied up this iron ore thing. Rocket launchers are going fine. These are the original iron to matter ones that we had down ages ago. They're running very dry. There are 2 matter to cube plants now. They're working well. I made a circuit condition on these to make sure that the trains come to the one that is the most empty, because I was noticing that they were going to the closest one, as they would do, obviously, but then if this was full of matter, this train would be here doing nothing, waiting for it to empty, especially because we've made so many matter cubes on the original one that this is often just blocked anyway, so there'll be a train just sat here going, oh, I've got nothing to do, which means that this one was working at half speed. Okay. So we're so almost there. We're so almost there. How's the pollution cloud looking? There we go. Alright. I'm just waiting for this to be empty. But it's empty now. It's empty now. Go away. Go away forever. Okay. So now we're using a lot of rocket control units in theory. We need to start thinking about copying, pasting. We've done the hard work, basically. We need to copy and paste some of this stuff, which is also why I built this matter plant here, because I was originally going to copy and paste some of these builds. I was going to put one of the low density structure things here, and then I thought I don't really want to cover up 156 million iron ore. That's quite juicy, isn't it? It's quite juicy. So let's, as we begin to wrap up this episode, skip forward a little bit more in time and see what occurs. I thought I'd quickly look at how we're going to process that many tech cards. Thankfully it's not too difficult. It's much the same as the build that we're using anyway, a bit bigger, and you bring the cards in from both sides. So rather than having a belt be half of each card, you do it like this. So I've repurposed a grid section to be double wide, and I'm going to have 2 of these. Each one is going to process 2,700 cards a minute. Each row of this can eat just about a blue belt, which was because I knew I was going to do belt braiding. Wait, no, sorry, a whole blue belt. Yeah. So this does 2,695. So when I double this up, this will be 5,390. So 5,400 basically, with some generous rounding. Yeah, I don't know whether this is good or messy, to be honest with you. 3 of the science cards are going to go down and they're going to come up onto these ones. 3 of the science cards are going to go the other way and go onto these bottom ones. I did test this in editor mode, it's fine, no throughput problems. Because we're outputting a purple belt, even though it's going onto a blue belt, it only needs to be 2,700 a minute from here. The fact that it's twice that much, you know, as long as this splitter is always full, it's fine. So yeah, this would be fine. I'll just double this up somewhere, and that shouldn't be a problem. And so, yes, so the Emmersite thing is gone, so this is a space ripe for copying and pasting some things. So I'm going to get the lithium batteries and the lithium itself doubled up, and I think it's probably about time we put a second one of these down. And the pollution cloud is sorted. There's a bit of a leak over here briefly as the filters were making their way around. This is, if you're interested, 3,800 belts long, and 3,300 belts high. It takes a long time. This is never backed up. This is never backed up. It's all good. It's all good. It worked first time, mostly. Cool. Right, let's do some copy and pasting. So here's a nice little section over here. The advanced circuits was already there. Copy and pasted the lithium battery build over. I had to do the water fill here. I forgot that I needed to put this on water. I added some water for the copper enriching process, but then I forgot that this actually needs constant water for this, so I am a bad man. I should have built this on water. Lithium is fine though. Lithium I did actually build near water. Just seeded this with some lithium chloride, easy life, added a second chlorine train, so the chlorine took away the rare metals that were being mined over here. Resource monitor, this one can now go, thank you, delete, yes. Oh, that was the wrong button. And got rid of this rare metals here, which leaves us a nice space here. So rare metals are now being just made, currently they're just being made here, they're just turning matter into a raw rare metal ore, which is being enriched in the same way. But this will need changing. We need slightly more rare metals to make sure that when we copy and paste our processing units over, we've got enough. So I've got a few complaints at the moment from the base because we ran out of rare metals, because in the time it took me to do all that, the chlorine completely dried up. And the backlog of rare metals dried up, so yeah. I mean, if you're interested in the tech card per minute, as it's been going for the last 10 hours, on average, 878. On average, for the last 10 hours, so, you know. That's just because I keep changing so many things. 889 over 50 hours, yeah, go me. Okay, right, so I'm going to do this on stream, because I would be remiss if you didn't see this. This is the low density structure build, of course. Press the old make blueprint water placeable button, because we're going to put it on top of the water, because it's got the sulfuric acid build in it. It's got ore enriching over here, so we need water for this from somewhere. The plastic doesn't need any water, the steel doesn't need any water, but we do need some water. So I'm stood here already, I've got an advanced roboport here ready to start sorting this out, so that looks about good to me. Make blueprint water placeable. Off you go. It's funny that when you rotate the letters, they don't work at all, in fact. Don't seem to do anything. That's okay, we'll get rid of this bit, we'll tidy the rest of it up ourselves. And then we'll fill in the rest of the landfill as and when we need it, just in case. Yes, look at it go. So this will take some time. And we need 2 more of these. But even this is causing some UPS dips, but nothing, you know, especially when I'm zooming out like this, which this mod always causes these issues. I'm a bit concerned about the amount of traffic coming through this on this straight away, but maybe I'll link this up over here or something in the long term and use this space for something, fill in this lake and use this lake for something. Alright, so while we wait there, probably half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour I would say, I'm going to call that an episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment, and if you want to see more Krastorio. Not that there's that much more to go, let's be honest. What do we need? We need 5 other tech cards done, and we need to copy and paste. I should do a separate to-do list down here, shouldn't I? Of how many modules of each thing that we said we were going to do. Even though I have been numbering them. Okay. Take care. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.